All right, welcome back everyone to Vuln Vibes. Ready for another deep dive.
Always ready. What do we have today?
Today we're looking at Elastic Kibana. A pretty critical vulnerability was recently patched, and it's a good one to dig into.
Kibana, that's that data visualization tool, right? The one everyone uses with Elasticsearch.
Yeah, exactly. Super popular for analyzing big data sets, like we're talking massive, across all sorts of industries. So this vulnerability, it's not something to take lightly.
I've heard about this one. Pretty high CVSS score, right?
Oh yeah, we're talking 9.9. And the worst part, it could allow for arbitrary code execution. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's as bad as it gets, pretty much. So, CVE 2025-25012, how's this one work? What makes it so dangerous?
Oh, you ready for this? It can be exploited through something as simple as file uploads.
File uploads. Seriously. Sounds kind of basic for something with a 9.9 CVSS score.
Right. You'd think it'd be more complex, but that's kind of what makes it so tricky. Attackers are always looking for those everyday features that we don't think twice about.
Makes sense, like hiding in plain sight. So file uploads, how do they actually pull it off?
So they're combining these file uploads with specially crafted HTTP requests.
Okay, getting a little more technical now.
Yeah. And this triggers something called prototype pollution. I know it sounds kind of strange.
Yeah, not exactly a term you hear every day. What's prototype pollution?
Basically, think of it like they're injecting malicious code. This code lets them take control, think hijacking the whole system.
So even though it starts with something as basic as a file upload, the fallout from this vulnerability is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Major security headache.
Yeah.
And here's another layer to this. The impact depends on which version of Kibana you're running.
Different versions, different levels of risk.
Exactly. For versions 8.15 from 0 to 8.150, even someone with just viewer access, even someone who should just be looking at dashboards, could potentially exploit this.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying someone who's just supposed to be viewing data could potentially take over the whole system?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Really highlights how crucial user roles and permissions are, every single one of them.
Totally agree. We always think of viewer as low risk, but this vulnerability shows even those limited access roles can be a weak point.
For sure. What about the newer versions then? Like 8.17.1 and 8.17.2, are they safe?
They're better, yeah, but not completely in the clear. Attackers still need specific privileges in those versions, but it's not just anyone who can exploit it.
Okay, so in those versions, it's a bit more locked down. What kind of privileges are we talking about?
Things like fleet all, integrations all, or actions.execute advanced connectors. Heavy-duty stuff.
Definitely not your average user. So let's walk through this. Say an attacker is targeting an organization running Kibana. What would this attack actually look like?
Think of it as a stealth mission. They disguise a malicious file, make it look like a regular document or something harmless. They upload it, and then they send those specific HTTP requests we were talking about.
And that's what triggers the vulnerability.
Bingo. And from there, potentially, they've got full control. It's a backdoor right into your most sensitive data.
Not good. Okay, so knowing all this, what are the steps organizations need to take to protect themselves?
The good news is there's a patch. Elastic released version 8.17.3, and that takes care of the problem. Upgrading, that's priority number one right away.
Makes sense, get patched up. But what if, and I know this happens a lot, an organization just can't upgrade right away? What can they do in the meantime?
Elastic has a temporary fix. It's not perfect, but it'll buy them some time. You disable the integration assistant in the Kibana configuration. That'll help mitigate the risk.
So patching first, but then it sounds like staying informed is critical too, making sure you're always up to date on those security advisories.
Absolutely. Got to stay ahead of the curve. We all know the threat landscape. It's constantly evolving. And this whole situation, it brings up an interesting question, doesn't it?
What?
How do organizations balance giving their teams access to the data they need with keeping everything secure, especially now that we're seeing how even those seemingly less powerful user roles can be exploited?
Yeah, it's that classic dilemma. You need to empower people with data, but security can't be an afterthought. This vulnerability really drives that point home.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it shows even those basic everyday features, we got to be careful. They can be turned against us.
Well said. All right, everyone, that's our deep dive on this Kibana vulnerability. Thanks for joining us, and as always, stay safe out there.
Stay vigilant.
And we'll catch you next time on Vuln Vibes.